DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, is the one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW has what you need, but more importantly, they have what you didn't even know you wanted. You never know what you'll find at DSW. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.
This episode is brought to you by Lifelock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Oldish. The art of knowing more and caring less. With your host, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Oldish. I know this looks a little bit different because normally we're in the studio, but I've been traveling a lot. Sharna's traveling. There's just, it's life. Like life happens, and we wanted to do a proper recap for what were 3 incredible episodes. I mean, we had two episodes that are just this incredible conversation with John Edward, and then we had an incredible conversation with Bob as well. We were talking about the book.
Chasing Evil.
Oh yeah.
Let's just set the stage and start with Bob, outside of the studio, and you texting me when I'm on the way to the studio, and usually I'm punctual, I'm early, and you're like, "Are you coming?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm on my way." Am I late?
I'm 10 away, and I was like, "Cool." So Bob is here. So I pulled up in my car, and I see this like 6'4" guy standing out front of the studio door. 6'7"?
6'7". He's huge.
He's massive. He's intimidating. And I saw him right away, and I was like, oh, that dude is like, he was law enforcement. Like you could tell just by looking at him. Like he's the guy that when you pull up to a crime scene, Bob was the guy that you saw. He was running the show.
Yeah.
So I pull up, he's already there, and I was early. I was like 15 minutes early, which is not normal for me, but I just wanted to make sure because I knew it was him, and I assumed, like, this guy's going to be punctual. Like that is just part of the job, you know? So yeah, I pulled up and I saw him, and I immediately text you, and I was like, hey, what's going on, man? So what time are you going to come? And you were like, oh, I'll be there in like 10 minutes. And I was like, cool. So Bob's here already. So I walked up and introduced myself, and I was super intimidated because he's intimidating. He's a massive presence. But super nice guy.
Yeah, really nice guy.
As soon as I started talking to him, I realized like, oh, no, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had him in. We had this interesting, it was sort of an in and out conversation with him.
Yeah.
But covered a lot of ground, and something that we talked about was how he changed over the course of this book, over this 25-year relationship with John Edward. I mean, he started out as a full-on skeptic.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got to, like, understandably, you know, he's investigating crime scenes. He's trying to put pieces together. He's trying to do all that. I reached out to him because he kept hearing John on the radio and was so annoyed because he was like, this guy's a fraud. So he was like, I want to sit with him. I want to bust him. Like, I want to put him in prison for something. He was like, we'll figure out something. We'll call it something. So he sat with him, and he had John bring in John asked him, he said, collect a bunch of things from like a bunch of pieces of evidence in something that you can't figure out for me to go through and see if I can get anything from it. So Bob, being the guy that he was, he not only brought in things from the actual case, but he brought in things that had nothing to do with it. He had a woman in his office give a necklace, and he had somebody else give a bracelet, these things, and a watch. And so he had all of this stuff on a table for John because he wanted to test him. He wanted to see what John was actually made of and if he was as much of a fraud as Bob thought he was. And within the first 5 minutes, John was like, yeah, these don't have anything to do with it. And he pushed those pieces aside, and he had then the actual evidence itself. And he started giving these really insightful ideas. And Bob was talking about, like, he built this relationship with John where it was John never solved the case. He was like,
Right.
John wasn't used for that. John would give me leads and different directions to look and different things to look for. And he would sort of help steer these investigations in different directions that led to outcomes. And he was like, John would name these things and, oh, look out for this. And there's a thing. And, there's definitely something happening in that room, and there's something between the walls. And that he would give these things where Bob was like, there's no way. Like, we've spent hours and hours and hours investigating this. And sure enough, he would get back to these crime scenes, and he would see this trash bin that John was talking about, or this doorway that was to the left and a doorway to the right. And he started seeing these things that were they were definitive. So he would dig into them, and then they would end up solving cases.
And you know what I love? I loved that he made a point by saying this, whether you believe, whether you don't believe. For him, he couldn't not believe after he spent time with John and
Scientific. They were facts. They weren't, it wasn't opinions and things he was following. And that's the way his brain works, which I understand. His brain, he's very scientific. He's very factual. He's looking for the clues and the pieces, and he's putting this puzzle together. And so John was giving him puzzle pieces that he could use that were then steering him in this direction that it was just undeniable. He was ending up at these results that were like, there's no reason why I would be with these results. This guy, John, hasn't looked at any photos from crime scenes. He hasn't been to the scenes. Like, he literally had no involvement that way at all. He was like, there's no way that this guy would know these things that he knows. So they were just worth it for him to look into and investigate. And sure enough, John's intuition was correct, and it would always lead to something. And I forget the number of cases he said that John had helped him with.
Yeah, they did quite a few.
It was a high number of cases, and Bob said he started off very much as a skeptic. That, again, he was going to bring this John Edward guy in and bust him and throw him in prison for something. He was like, this guy's a fraud, and he's like, he's giving people hope where they shouldn't have hope. And so he was so angered by it because of what he does and who he is.
And I think that's such a great arc, though, right?
It's a story.
As you're reading the story, as you're watching the TV show, and that's the strangest thing when reading this book and talking about this subject matter. Maybe I've just been numb to it. I don't usually watch these types of shows or read these books, but it reads like a show. It almost doesn't read as if this is real life happening. These cold cases do exist, and it's so...
Because it's a blend. It's a blend of two worlds that don't normally blend. Like, you don't normally have such a evidence scientific based career as, investigating crime scenes and trying to solve situations. You don't normally then involve this incredibly spiritual, intuitive, psychic, not based in facts for you side. Those two don't blend. So I can imagine for you, in reading the book, it was enough of a blend of both where you were like, God, I see myself in parts of this. I understand the skepticism on the other side, and it's really cool to see how the two merged. The
Yeah.
story, the story was what was so fascinating, hearing how those two lines of work, which couldn't be more different, merged and became, and Bob talked about, he has an incredible friendship with John. He was like, I consider John a brother.
Yeah.
And he's this hulking 6'7", deep voice, not super expressive, intimidating guy who just you could feel it when he was talking about John, just the love that he
Yeah.
had for him. And this thing that was created that he never saw coming, that he never expected. And it became such an important thing for him.
Now it's out in the world. People are reading it and reacting to it. And then, throughout this whole process, we had John Edward in studio. We had 2 episodes.
We did,
with him.
which was exciting for me because I know him. Like his show and all the things he's done have been highlighted and just a part of my life for so long. But I was really excited for you because I know it connects to the intuitive side of you. And we always talk about it and joke about it. And you're like, I'm intuitive, but I don't want to claim that I am. I definitely have, you definitely always talk about these things that you have where you were like, God, this is more than just coincidence. It's crazy how the worlds all kind of come together and collide. And John picked up on that. He picked up on that with you in phone calls that you had before we even sat down.
Yeah, I had a phone call with him, and that was a strange moment for me.
That it was because again, you know who John Edward is also, and you were like, oh my God.
Right. I mean, I was watching him. I remember when the show was on and then syndicated crossing over, and I would watch it. It would be on late at night sometimes, and I would just sit and watch him do these readings for people
So
and
fascinating.
watch their reaction. And what I saw most, I mean, the information that was coming through was cool, and I loved how people would, quote unquote, find closure, but it was so much more than that. It really seemed that even more than the closure, it was this proof to this other world. It was proof that there's more beyond this, okay, we live and then we die and there's finality. And I think that is what, like, you could watch these bubbles pop for people and going, it's like the Matrix breaks in that moment.
He really cracked that genre wide open with what it is he was doing.
Yeah.
I remember watching, I used to watch Sylvia Brown, remember on Montel?
Sylvia Brown.
Yeah. She did a lot of the same thing, but John was really, and I can only imagine that John and Sylvia were friends because they were so similar in a lot of the things they did. And like Sylvia used to blow my mind as well.
Mhm.
John, though, I loved as he was getting into the story and telling us about sort of the where it started for him, and being this young kid and being at these like psychic fairs and having people in the family that were psychic and having his tarot cards and his stuff and really fun, interesting stories. He gets it. Like he doesn't feel like what I have is a gift and everybody just needs to understand it right away. Like he really understands that what he has is a gift, but that it is so far beyond what people have known that there's still a distrust in it. Like for as good as he is and for as long as he's been doing it, there's still people that want to prove it wrong, of course.
Yeah.
So fall has this sneaky way of showing up. It really does. Like one day it's iced coffee and sandals, and the next it is, why are my feet getting cold?
Right? So
Right?
cold,
Yeah.
especially my toes. You know what it means to me is that it's time to break out my new Bombas higher socks. They are warm, they're cushy, and honestly, they're the only socks that I'm going to be wearing this season.
Well, okay, I just got the new Bombas slippers last week. Oh my gosh, they are ridiculously comfortable. I don't really want to leave the house once they're on type comfortable.
That's it, man. They really do. Like the merino wool that keeps you cozy without overheating, the Supima cotton that actually breathes, that thick rag wool. That's the kind of sock that feels like hot chocolate. It's like hot chocolate by the fire.
Yes,
It's delicious.
it totally is like that. And it really feels good when you remember that every purchase means Bombas donates an item to someone experiencing homelessness. That's over 150 million items so far and counting.
Which means that while we're staying warm, someone else is staying warm too. I mean, I just feel good knowing that.
Definitely.
They have this happiness guarantee too. Like it means that if for any reason it's not a perfect fit, they're going to make it right, which is crazy. It's no hassle, no stress.
Honestly, though, you're probably going to just want more.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true. You guys should head to bombas.com/audio and use code audio for 20% off your first purchase.
That's bombas.com/audio.
Code audio for 20% off your first purchase.
Bombas, they're more than just socks.
You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
I get it.
Yeah, and I think that has less to do with John or any intuitive and more to do with everything that we've been taught. And he's a great example. Bob's a great example. What they got growing up. John had the mother who was into, grandmother, mother, into psychics and tarot and all the things. Then you had his dad, who was in law enforcement, which was like, no way, don't go anywhere near that.
Right.
This is hogwash.
Right. The biggest disappointment that you could bring me is to become like your mother.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have that. And I think most people are partially a product of their environment. So they grow up and there's this skepticism of what really exists. And Bob talked about this, and I've done this too in many ways. The logical part of my brain wants to know, is it mentalism? Is there something that is happening? Did they look them up on the internet? But for me, and I'm probably more believing because I'm more in this world, it's a little bit easier to accept because I've just been around it so long. But I think that is the go-to with skepticism, is looking at how can I prove this before I believe it.
Mm-hmm. You got to remember too, like the time when John was really starting on television, the internet didn't exist. I mean, there was no looking up people. Like, what would you look them up in, like the phone book?
Dial up.
Like what?
Dial up.
Yeah. So it wasn't like it is today where people can like research online and find out all sorts of information on people. He really came up during a time when that wasn't possible unless you lived in the same city and you started running into people that knew this person and you started getting inside story. There was no way of knowing the things that he knew. Which was always so fun watching him, the magic of what it is he does. Cause it is
Great.
It is magic. I mean, I don't have there's been a part of me at certain times where I felt like, oh, I'm really good at manifesting things,
Mm-hmm.
but it's what he does and what you have it's a sense of magic when you get to the point where you hear the things in your head and you trust them and you share that information. A lot of people get like these little signals and signs, but you don't trust them. Ever. I would never share with anybody the things that I think. It's like I share how things have affected me and hoping that they affect change or they create some sort of a light bulb moment for someone. But I would never in a million years be like, hey, so, I had a dream last night. So you're going to be an Olympic skater. And I know, you've never been near ice. Like like it doesn't,
Right.
I would never in a million years do that. He would, and you are learning to. Like you are trusting more and more in your intuitive side, which is really
I'm
cool.
I'm I'm learning to trust more. It's been a process. I would say the biggest thing for me,
Mhm.
because I've been trusting for a while, more and more and more and more. And the work
Yeah.
that I do with people has helped because I'm sort of in the sandbox every day. I get to
Right.
practice because there's people that I don't know things. And all of a sudden, when something comes and I share it and they go, oh, wow, I will get that direct feedback going, okay, wait, you're not crazy, Randy. Like that, keep going,
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah.
But it's owning it. It's sort of
For sure.
claiming it and
Yeah.
sharing it.
For
And
sure.
I do think, John said this, I really do think that we all have this. Like you said, you've had a dream, you have messages. It is such a process to learn how to decipher what's just a dream and what is a message. Do I have to pay attention to that? Do I have to communicate that? I have a great example of
Okay.
something. So I had friends. I'll leave out some details just to protect anonymity. And
We'll call him Timmy.
yeah, Timmy
Yeah.
owned
Timmy and Sarah.
Timmy and Sarah owned a shop here in Portland, and then
Mhm.
their shop was growing, and I sort of met them on the ground level of this and was excited for them. And as I watched them grow, they wanted to grow a family. And they got pregnant. They were really excited and overjoyed and told me, and then they lost the baby. And it was a
Devastating.
huge blow and a really big thing for them.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, I can't remember the exact timing, I had a dream. And this dream was so clear, Brian, that it was hard not to pay attention. And you know the difference. Sometimes you forget it. It's kind of fuzzy.
Sure.
I was at the airport. I saw them in line at the airport, and they had 2 children, beautiful children. They were running around them. We had a conversation. I saw everyone's faces very clearly. When I woke up, the first message I got was, "You need to tell them." And my whole body sunk, and I felt so bad and nervous and
Right. Of
guilty
course. Understandable.
because that that could be horrible, right? What if
Yeah.
I say that and give false hope?
Yeah.
And I really thought, "No, I'm not gonna tell them. No, I can't do this." But
How do you do
here's the
this?
distinction that I've made, if this is helpful for anyone. Intuition has a way of just moving in steadily. And if you don't listen, you will know at some point,
It keeps
shoot, I
poking you.
should have listened. But it just kind of drives through, different than a thought that bounces in and out. This is sort of like a direct driver through. So I wrote an
It
email.
never goes away.
It doesn't, it's just there. I wrote an email. I told them. They said, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And a few months later, they wrote me and said, hey, you're not going to believe this. We're pregnant. And now they have 2 children and they're older.
Wow.
But I was terrified to communicate this.
Of course. That's really cool.
Yeah. So
That's
that,
really cool.
and I feel like we all have those moments. It's just more about paying attention to them and kind of cultivating that.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like, people have those moments, but if they never do anything with them, they stop then the ability to continue to be reminded of those things. Like they learn how to compartmentalize dreams and thoughts and all this stuff, and they just kind of put it away and they go, oh yeah, dream stuff. This is like a horse with blinders. Like, this is life. This is what I'm dealing with now. But then as soon as you start accepting the other and keep and holding it in the space of your immediate now, I can't imagine. There have got to be a ton of things. So I want to say this to the audience too, which was super exciting. So it was super exciting for me watching you talk to John, because I know you so well. I know the intuitions and the things that you've kind of dealt with and you've shared with me over the years. So it was really exciting then to see you speaking to somebody that it is really a mentor within that space and can, really help you cultivate that confidence in those feelings and what it is you do. John, you are now a part of his network online, right? You are a blue checked life intuitive life coach, right? Is that what he told you to change? Change the way you label yourself? And I know you were completely against that.
all of a sudden, like the script flipped on me. And you're like, Randy, welcome to Oldish. He's talking about, he's sort of pointing things out, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? Yeah. John Edward is sitting next to me telling me that I should own it and say that I'm an intuitive.
You know what's really funny though? Like, and it just popped into my head now. I remember you telling me the story of your dad popping into your head at one point and saying, just like, trust this, just be in this, like, trust Brian. And I don't want to take any credit for anything, but I remember when you said that, and it's amazing how I've watched you really experience and get into parts of life that you weren't necessarily in, because I can only assume when you spend all of your time and your life helping other people, you close the door to being helped yourself a little bit. So this experience has been really interesting for me to watch, because it's like when we surprised you with the sit down conversation with you, you talked about it afterwards, that you talked about things you've never really talked about. And it was because you weren't really prepared for them. You were kind of caught flat-footed with it all, which was my plan. Right. I want to catch this dude flat-footed, because you're always prepared for the things you do. And that's your career and your life and what it is you do.
Glad I look that way.
you prepare. And I don't think it is like an OCD kind of thing. I wasn't like, oh, Randy is always this. So we've got to trick him into, I just felt like I know the way your brain works. Like, I knew you were going to show up with pages of research on Sharna and you'd be ready to go. And you would have a ton of questions and a ton of things, and that book would be full. So, I knew, because it wasn't on your mind at all, that if we sprung on you, like, hey, we're going to talk to you today, you'd be like, oh my goodness, I wasn't prepared mentally for this at all, which I think was great. But I don't think you were necessarily mentally prepared for the journey that Oldish has been for you. It's been a journey for all of us.
A message from McAfee. Wondering why the post office is texting you, or why you owe thousands of dollars in toll fees? Because someone's trying to scam you. The good news? McAfee can help. With McAfee's award-winning scam detection, it's easy to tell what's real and what's fake over text, in your inbox, and online. If they're
you want a free gift.
Seriously? If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Komm du noch?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Mm-hmm. But I think for you, it's funny because going into this, like one of there's a laundry list of reasons, but one of the reasons for me that I was really excited about doing this with you is because you you're so good within your life and your field and your lane. Like you've been a life coach forever. Like I told you just in watching things that you posted on Instagram how inspiring you were just in simple ways of like, look at this leaf. I found this on the ground as I was walking down the street and I want to touch and um it it got me to look at things in a different way. Um but it's been really cool to see from the outside the journey of you and the journey of Sharna. And I'm sure for you guys, the journey of watching me sitting with people, it's been really fun. And I don't think people understand that because a lot of podcasts are purely for entertainment, that's their thing. I am not like criticizing anyone for what it is they do, but that's not what we wanted to do with this. We wanted to, and I always say it, like, I want to be entertaining, but I also want to be educational. Like, I really want to um, offer people more information than they have had in certain ways before, but offer it in an entertaining way where it sticks. I think sometimes self-help can become so heavy and so deep that
Heavy?
people
Wow.
are intimidated by it.
Yeah.
So they go, "Oh, I don't God, it was so much to watch and listen to." Like, and they just sort of tune out a quarter of the way into something because it's too much. I think if we offer that information in an entertaining way, each of us being who we are and being authentic that way, we each have something really incredible to offer. You have this incredible insight of like, this is a world that you know. So you're asking as a professional within this world. I'm asking as the dummy that's on the street that has no idea what it is anybody is talking about. And then Sharna kind of fills in the middle space of that. Like, it's very fun and it's very refreshing what it is we do.
You get a blend
Yeah.
of three different characters, three different roles who each bring something to the table. It's so interesting though, when you talk about intuition, you putting me on the hot seat and doing my interview was 100% intuitive because that is a thought that somehow came to you the night before of, you know what? Here's what we should do. And interestingly enough,
Mhm.
I think if I knew that I was going to be interviewed, like you said, it's not that I would prepare for it because there's nothing to prepare, but I would think about it more.
Sure.
And that,
What are they possibly gonna ask me? How do I wanna frame this conversation? What do
yeah,
I say if this comes up?
exactly.
Yeah.
And that I think it's such a beautiful illustration of intuition in progress, even though it was like, hey, I just had an idea.
Yeah.
But not an idea because it bypassed my logical mind into a space of just being and
Mhm.
sharing. And the cool thing is, I didn't know we were going to go in all those different directions. I had so many people write me and share their experiences of either intuition or dreams or visitation from loved ones or saying, I don't feel crazy. Thank you for sharing this. It blew me away. And then if we trace it back, it's like that was just something that came in to your mind and you
It
acted
came
upon.
in really strong. So I've always described myself to people as, I'm a big idea guy. I'm not the guy then that will like sit and deal with the minutia and get things done that way. I am like, I have these ideas and they just kind of pop into my head and they're very specific. And like, I've gotten more to a place of just trusting them and going, "Ooh, that's really cool." Like, I'll be excited by these ideas because they're not my ideas. They're not like my original thoughts. There's something that popped into my head from something else. So I remember the night before I like, I was completely prepared to talk to Sharna because she was our guest, and there was just not an ounce of me that thought anything else. And literally the night before, I was driving, and it popped into my head of like, no, we should talk to Randy tomorrow because he would never see it coming, and I don't want to say anything to him. Like I don't want to give him it. And I remember saying it to Sharna, and I said it very not like posing it as a question, like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" I posed it as like, "This is what I think. This is what I think we should do." And I said, "I think we should surprise." And Sharna was very much guarded and protective, and she was like, "I don't know how Randy will be with that because that's a big."
Brian,
And
Sharna,
I just was I was like, "No, there's no question in my mind. This is exactly what we're supposed to do and who we're supposed to talk to." And sure enough, it was a great conversation. I completely understand when you say how many people reached out to you after listening to it, because it's what we talk about. The more we are human and the more we show that, the more it inspires other people and they feel less separate from us. They realize like, oh, um, Randy actually went through this life and he went through the same questions that I'm going through now. He just is at the point where he figured those out and decided what to do with them. But that's what I want to be doing. And so it gave me a little grace with myself and a little more patience in like, okay, like now I need to continue going through this, and I need to be patient in the fact that I'm figuring out what it is I want to do, but it's okay. Like it's you went through it. Um, I
and
think I think it's really cool.
speaking of just being human and whatever, it is so exciting and refreshing to meet someone that you have looked up to and know that they are that person.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing worse than,
Oh, it's the worst. They always say, don't meet your heroes.
and you meet them and you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
John was that.
Absolutely.
From when I
Yeah.
talked to him on the phone to when he came into studio to messaging with him after, he's very protective of the integrity of the work that he does, but he all around like is that guy. He is
human.
a nice, caring, like beautiful.
Well, he didn't sit in our room trying to pretend that he was some sort of superhero and he was better than anybody else. Like he literally was just like, this is the thing I was blessed with. Everybody's blessed with their stuff. And he wanted to share how he like really found the truth in who he was. And I loved, and we've talked about this since day one of this podcast. One of our eventual goals has always been to be traveling with the
And do
show,
live
be doing
shows.
these live experiences and doing them in cities and having people in the crowd that want to be there and having microphones and making it this fully interactive thing and spending, 2 hours talking and doing that. John said that's going to be happening in 2026. And which, which was just the coolest ever. He was like, I will absolutely be your first guest.
Okay,
That
so
really-
so
that
here's
was-
the ask for anyone listening, watching. Go to our Instagram page when you hear this and just comment if you would like to come to a live show.
And where do you think
so-
would be a good idea to have our first live? Which state or city?
Yeah, where
You
and
know?
what would interest you? Like if we had one guest, if we had a few guests, if we were whatever you think would interest you, I'm so curious to hear and get a pulse on what would make someone want to come and sit in a room with us. And I will say this, living this firsthand, there is such a massive difference between watching an episode, listening to an episode,
And
and being in person at an event where you are sharing energy. When we are in studio, it is such a difference being in the room with people. And people say all the time, John shared it on the episode, a lot of guests do, you guys have something special here. There's an energy that you can feel. We'll just put it that way. And I think that's sort of the beautiful thing of sharing a space in this day and age when everything is on the phone and on these computers.
Yeah.
Actually sharing space is a wonderful thing.
I gotta say though, like I've never been a huge fan of Zoom, but because we have done so many in studio, I feel way more comfortable and different with you on Zoom than I do normally with Zoom, because I know your energy. Like I can now feel it just with the screen. Like I know exactly how you would feel being in the room. We've had these conversations before.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And again, I know this isn't the format that people are used to seeing us in. Hearing us, I would hope that we sound exactly the way we do when we're in the room doing
Fingers crossed. It might be a little less buttery, so forgive us.
It's butter makes anything taste better. Butter and bacon.
You're right.
We don't have either on Zoom.
And on the next episode, we're talking longevity and what to eat and what not to eat.
Right. Bacon not being one of the things. Butter, though, being actually a healthy fat.
Yeah.
To do a grass-fed butter. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone.
There it is. Dude, Randy, you are I say this a million times. I love doing this show with you. I think I love the fact that we have an audience that is not only sticking with us but growing. We so appreciate every listener and viewer that we have. We want to keep this going as long as we can. So like and subscribe if it's available on whatever platform you're watching or listening to. Stick with us. Continue to be with us. We absolutely love you and we adore you, and we know that this wouldn't be possible without all of you being with us. So until next time, thank you for joining us for another episode of Oldish.
The love goes both ways, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that you don't have to navigate life alone. If there's something hard that you're dealing with or you're just ready for a change, then reach out to me at randyspelling.com, or you could DM me on Instagram, also at randyspelling. And if I can help you, I will. If there's a resource that I can share with you, I will also do that as well. Thanks.